right, so we're back here on actually a live edition on a President. Normally we do our NFL previews. We continue our ninth annual Couch Goes Live NFL previews. We got a live one for you tonight. So we got the Tennessee Titans. I got my Richmond kicker brethren, my guy Yogi from the River City 93 podcast, who is actually an avid Tennessee Titans fan. So I definitely had to get him on to talk some Titans with us tonight.
Yeah, man, I'm excited, man. One of the few times in my life I've actually been kind of positive about a Titan season.
Yeah, what a very interesting offseason. Obviously, obviously AJ Brown's no longer with the team, and then some other things that happened in the offseason. So, looking at this offseason, just your thoughts on the offseason, and also what was the team's biggest acquisition in your personal opinion?
So quick recap for all those that probably forgot for good reason. We went out in the AFC divisional round to the eventual conference champ Cincinnati Bengals. Ryan Tannehill had 3 interceptions. Meanwhile, the defense had 9 sacks, and that's the first time in NFL history a team has lost a game with 9 sacks in the playoffs. So definitely it was a kind of licking our wounds and, a quick realization of, all right, if we want to take that next step, we have to improve certain things. Got right around to the draft, and there were some rumblings about, was AJ going to get his money? Was he going to get paid? We all know how that worked out because we took Trey Burke in the first round, and then we traded AJ, which caught me totally by surprise. And I mean, I get it. And as the way I explained it to a couple of my other friends, where Tennessee is kind of, we're in that tier of, we build diamonds in the rough, but those diamonds, once they're diamonds, leave us to go to the bigger markets. Because Tennessee doesn't, it's not like Tennessee doesn't pay well, but we're not like a Dallas. We're not a New York. We're not a Philly. We're not a LA. You know what I mean? Like, those are the markets where if you want to do more off the field stuff, you can push your name. And you get more of the media spotlight, So I understood it. We did get some good draft picks at it. I'm interested to see how Robert Woods goes, because I think one thing that Tennessee kind of lacked last year was a kind of wide receiver that could go in between the lines, kind of like a dump off man for Ryan Tannehill, because I think every play last year was, if it wasn't big to AJ Brown or Julio, it wasn't really developed. Also, I think another acquisition that I think is going to go under the radar that I really like is we got Austin Hooper from Cleveland, who, me personally, like, it's been a long time since we've had a good tight end. We've had Jared Cook, we've had other people, but it's been a long time since we had a tight end that's established. And I think Austin Hooper is going to do wonders in this offense, because the way how this this run game is going to go through Derrick Henry and others is you're going to need a tight end that can not also block, but also be reliable hands to be a safety valve for Ryan Tannehill. And then also Malik Willis. It's a win-win for Tennessee either way, because if Ryan Tannehill does great this year, Malik gets to sit. And if Tannehill does good the year after that, Malik gets to sit 2 years. And then year 3, when Tannehill deal is up, start Malik. If Tannehill doesn't, if he has the same year like he had last year, my bad. And let me say this real quick. The year that Tannehill last year wasn't bad, but when you literally go 21 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and that's literally a 3-2 ratio, you got to improve that, And a lot of his interceptions were interceptions that were, he just kind of just threw them up there. Like, they were kind of like blink moment interceptions. So I think if he can improve on that and improve on those eras, it'd be fine. But Tennessee wins, and I think has probably the best quarterback situation out of all the teams. You're not forced to play Malik right off the bat because it's not like he's a first or second round pick. And you also have the barrier of, all right, Tannehill, you got 2 years left. You don't perform, we could just let you go, and it's not a big cap hit like it would be if we let him go this year. So I think it's a positive on that. And then on the defensive front, I think it's positive, man. I mean, you kept my boy, I love him. The D tackles, Jeffrey Simmons, you kept him. You added a couple of other dudes like Danico Autry. He played really big for us. And then also, the guy back there, KB. I mean, having him back there is amazing, man. He's one of the best safeties this team has probably ever had, man. And it's good to see, yo. It's good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's the biggest storyline head to the season for this Tennessee Titans squad?
Oh man. The biggest storyline. So I'll give you three. I think one is the receiving core. How is this team going to adjust without AJ and that big threat? How does Trey Burke go into that role? Because Trey Burke is quote-unquote drafted to be AJ at a younger rate. So how does the team adapt to that? How does the team adapt to that deep ball that they love to throw at the play fake? But you add people like Robert Woods and Austin Hooper. How do they adjust into the system? How does Mike Vrabel get the best out of them? Thirdly, the return of Derrick Henry. He missed 9 games last year with injury, so he's coming back. How does he look with that, and how does the team adjust and take the positives of last year where Henry wasn't there, and you're going to win the division, number 1 seed in the AFC. How do you take those lessons and incorporate with a healthy Henry? Thirdly, the defense, how can they improve and stay on the positive momentum of what they had? You lost some big pieces, definitely the linebacking core. So how does things adjust there? I think are the 3 biggest story. Well, I'll give you another one. I think another storyline that you possibly look out for is how does Tennessee now deal with success? Because the last 2 years, we've won the division back-to-back, but now we're starting to have teams like the Colts nip our heels. The Jaguars have improved. The Texans are still probably the weakest roster in the NFL, but it's a divisional rival. You know how those games go regardless. How bad the team is. They can always snap a game off of you. So how does Tennessee now be in control of it? And how do we take that next step in the playoffs? Because now you're dealing with the Bengals, the Chargers, the Ravens, Kansas City, teams like that. How are you going to deal with that success and try to break that echelon?
Absolutely. So, your thoughts and just more sort of a brief outlook on the Tennessee Titans offense.
Oh man, my look at the offense is keep it the same. I don't think anything changes really with the offense too much. I think it's still going to be a run-heavy offense. I think it's going to be a lot of play fake. I think what you will see a lot more this year is a lot more deke and dunk. You probably see shades of what year did Randy Moss leave the Patriots? 2009?
And when he came to y'all?
Yeah.
I want to say it was. It's crazy. All these years roll around.
Right. I think when that Patriot, when Randy Moss left, they got rid of the big play. They started becoming more deke and dunk. You remember that, right? Mm-hmm. And they started relying more on the tight ends and the run game. I think you're going to see shades of that. It's definitely with Vrabel. Let me ask you this: as someone that's not a Titans fan, does Vrabel give you shades of like Bill Belichick?
It's weird, but he's more of a maligned one. Like as far as I don't think he like incites that fear. Like I think he's a like a player's coach. Like if Belichick was a player's coach, he would be like that would be him.
Yeah, that's cool. What I think.
He cool. But he's still like a player's coach. But he's not as like anal as Belichick is.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I think. So I think you will see shades of that. I think you see a lot more deke and dunk. I think you see a much more controlled offense. You still see the big play here and there, of course, but it'll be a lot more deke and dunk. I think they'll reduce the number of play action as they had in years past with Derrick Henry and everything like that. I think you'll see more of 3 receiver sets or 2 receiver with a tight end and a running back and things like that. I'm expecting good things for the offense. I think it can only go up, and I think having the extra benefit of having Malik Willis there as an extra benefit. For me personally, if Malik gets anywhere from, I'll say, 4 to 7 snaps per game, I think is a good thing. Obviously, you slowly embed him into the offense, so that way he's comfortable. You know, use him for a couple of run action plays, a couple of play action plays, things like that. Exploit the defense. I think would be positive. I actually can't wait to watch some of these preseason games just to see how Malik does in his first couple of snaps, just to see how he adjusts.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's talk about the other side of the ball. We talked about the offense. Now let's talk about your thoughts on this defense, the outlook as well for it.
Whew, man. Um, so this defense really took steps last year. The year before that, our defense was leaky, man. It was all over the place. If you threw the ball past 15 yards, it was automatic to go for 30. Like it wasn't good. Um, I think Coach Rabel's done an amazing job revamping this secondary. And the D line, man. I would say our D line is probably top 5 in the AFC, maybe top 10 in the NFL as a whole. Led by Jeffrey Simmons, and I, it would not shock me this year if Jeffrey Simmons is in that running for Defensive Player of the Year. Like I wouldn't be shocked if, we get to week 18, 17, and people are like, yo, Jeffrey Simmons, he in the conversation. Because he's just that kind of guy. Like he reminds me a lot of and his name escapes me right now, but the guy out for LA Rams, Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald, yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of him. Like he's not the tallest, but he's very quick with his hands, very quick with his feet. And he's very like he now requires double teams. So I want to see how he deals with that pressure. I think the weak spot in the defense, though, however, is the linebacking core. And just because you lost big name players, you lost guys like Brown and Rashad Evans, you lost those guys. So how does Tennessee do with that? I think is going to be key.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and normally, the schedule comes out in May, and I know, we always look at the games and we got games circled. And I know I said one game to be circled, but you can name 2 or 3 or whatever you got. So, what games do you guys circle for this Tennessee Titans team?
Well, for me personally, you always got the Colts. You always got the Colts because regardless of how the Colts are, they're always the standard bearer. Because they're the elite franchise in our division. It's kind of like with y'all. Like, regardless of how the Cowboys are, you always get that game scheduled because they're kind of like the standard bearer in that division. They they got the rings. So it's the Colts for us. Also, other games I want to say Buffalo, Kansas City, Philly. I got on there just the return. We play AJ. Cincinnati's going to be another one. The Chargers. It's some big marquee games this year, man. And I think if Tennessee can not only win their division but win those big marquee games, because I think this is a year. Honestly, I haven't done the math on this or anything, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Tennessee probably has the toughest schedule out of anyone. Because when you think about it like this, they play the entire AFC West, and I think if you ask any pundit or ask any media member in the NFL, they'll tell you the AFC is the toughest division, top to bottom. So you're not getting an easy game by playing any quarterback because you're going to play against Russell Wilson, you're going to play against Justin Herbert, Derek Carr, and Patrick Mahomes, right?
Yeah.
So you're all right. That's tough. So you got those 4. Then you got the Colts twice. And then you got the whole NFC East. Right? You got Dallas. So Dak Prescott. You got Justin Herbert out in Philly. New York. And I mean, granted, what's his name? Isn't the greatest quarterback out of New York. But I mean, Saquon, if he's healthy, Saquon's a dog with healthy. He changed the whole landscape of the offense. That's out of the gate week 1. And then Washington with Carson Wentz. And granted, we struggled with Carson Wentz last year because of that whole dink and dunk offense.
Yeah.
And Washington's not a bad team. They are a good team. So you deal with that. And then you also think about it. You got Aaron Rodgers. So that's what? 7. You got those 4 games, 11, 12. 12 games you're playing against elite quarterbacks. You're playing against And matter of fact, let's make it 13 because you got Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Really, 14 games. You're playing against mid-tier to upper-tier quarterbacks, and then the other in the other 4 games, you got what's his name out of Clemson? Trevor Lawrence for 2 games, and then you got whoever Houston throws at quarterback.
Davis Mills, probably. Yeah.
Right, and that's insane to think about. Like, so really, the only games Tennessee could be and look at it be like, woo, we get some of a break is a rivalry game against Houston and a rivalry game against the Jags. Outside of that, you are playing probably top to bottom the top 15 quarterbacks in the league, give or take. Maybe like you could take Carson Wentz out of there and Daniel Jones, right?
Yeah.
But out of that group, you're playing the top 15 quarterbacks.
Crazy.
I don't know who got it harder. What team has a harder schedule that as a 1 seed?
Ooh. Yeah, because you got to play all divisional winners. So yep. So that's
right.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yes. Yeah.
Right. Joe Burrow. You got to throw him in there.
Yeah.
Who won the East? Was it the Patriots?
The Bills.
No, the Bills.
Yeah, and that was Josh Allen.
Right. So all right. Once again, let's go through this again. So you got the Bills and Josh Allen.
Yep.
You got the Cincinnati Bengals with Justin Burrow. Then you got Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr,
Herbert,
and Russell Wilson.
Yep.
Then let's move to the East where you got Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
And
Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan twice.
Yeah, that's right. Matt Ryan twice. Ooh.
Like, dude, and then Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
That's insane, man. So like the defense is, if anything, if we want to have anywhere between those top 3 seeds in the AFL, I mean in the AFC, you talk out of those 13 games, man. You got to win 9. You got to win 9.
Yeah.
Like for real, maybe 10.
Yeah.
That's insane. I don't think have we ever seen a team had to go through that?
And you think about it, you really probably have to win the division because if you only gonna win 19 games, you have to win the division because it's crazy because I still think those last 3 playoff spots, the way I'm thinking, you might potentially have a 10 or 11 win teams fighting for that last 7th spot potentially.
Right.
It's gonna be crazy in the AFC.
If you think about it this way, out in the West, only because only one division get 3 teams in, right? Everyone else gets 2 because it's 7 seeds, right?
It's 7 seeds, so pretty much, in theory, it's 3 seeds up for grabs. So I mean, it is a possibility that all 4 teams could make it. One could be the wild card, and then those final 3 could be. Then those 3 would be the wild cards. It's possible, but it's highly unlikely.
Yeah, it's highly unlikely. Like the only division that can probably do that is maybe the West.
Yep, and that's it.
But the thing is, out of the West, all of them are going to kill each other.
Right.
Like out of the West, like look, let's be real. There's a real possibility whoever wins the West can win the Super Bowl because they're going to go through the toughest barriers. So like if you rule the West, and now you go look at the AFC East where you got New England's going to be strong, the Bills are going to be strong, Miami's going to be strong, the Jets are they're like where the Jags are right now, but they're rebuilding. They're going to be a dangerous team. They can knock somebody off. To be real with you, I probably only would take the Patriots and the Bills out of that division. Yeah. Then in the South, which is probably the weakest division out of the 4 of the AFC, I would only probably take us and the Colts. And then in the East, you got the Ravens, Steelers, Browns, and Bengals, and I would probably take the Bengals and the Ravens.
Yeah, and then the thing with with Deshaun Watson, who knows with that, when they have him at quarterback, that's another team that's jockeying for a playoff spot. So I'm telling you, it's.
So if you put two teams in the bubbles out of the AFC, if we had to do this right now, out of the South, we probably agree is the Titans and the Colts that are locked, right?
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. And then in the East, it's probably the Patriots and the Bills that are locked. Miami's on the bubble.
Yeah, they're on the bubble.
Out in the East, you probably say is the Ravens and Bengals.
The North, yeah, the North. It's weird. You gotta honestly, you can make a case for all four because I still because you think about it. Because even with Pittsburgh, even though they got who I call my guy Mitchell Joe Montana Trubisky, but I think he's serviceable enough to get them to make the playoffs because they made the playoffs last year with a ineffective Big Ben. So, and I think
that's true. That's true.
And I think he's better at this point than what Big Ben was last year. So
right. So yeah. Steelers and Browns you can put on the bubble.
I know, right? It's so.
And then out in the West, I think all of us probably have the Chiefs is locked.
Probably. Then you gotta say the Chargers too, because I got them winning. Yeah,
I put the Chargers locked.
Then you got Denver because Denver was 7-10 last year, and now they have a quarterback. So now they're gonna win at least 3 or more games just with the acquisition of Russell Wilson alone. So they're a 10-win team that's potentially going to be vying for a wild card spot or even.
And that's another team on the bubble. And then the Raiders are on the bubble.
Right. And then you just don't know, especially with Josh McDaniels, year one, him and Derek Carr. Yeah, Derek Carr. I was getting too confused, but yeah, Derek Carr. Yeah.
So you got I think we named 4 or 5 teams on the bubble.
Right. And it's only gonna be 3 spots. That's crazy. Like, yeah.
Like, yo, like that's the thing. Like, outside of the West, if Tennessee gets a top 3 seed, we're gonna be battle tested. Because I just named you all the quarterbacks we're gonna have to play.
Yeah.
So it's not like anything that Tennessee would have seen would have changed during the playoffs.
Right. So, yeah. Yeah. So, and I always ask the $60 million question. And somewhere you kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but to ask that $60 million question in 2022, the Tennessee Titans will finish.
All right. So we're going to go to this game by game. We're going to go to this record because this is my first time ever doing this.
Yeah.
Okay. So week 1, we opened up against New York. I think that's a win. Mm-hmm. Week 2 against the Bills. I think that's a loss. So that's 1-1 there. Week 3 Raiders, I give us that. So that's 2-1. Colts, I think we go 3-1 there. Washington 4-1. Colts 4-2. Texans 5-2. Chiefs 5-3. I'll go 5-3. Broncos 6-3. Packers 7-3. Bengals 7-4. Philly 8-4. Jacksonville 9-4. Chargers 10-4. Texans 11-4. Cowboys 12-4. Jacksonville 13-4. I'll go 13-4.
Wow, 13-4. Okay,
13-4. And the only reason I say that. Uh-huh. Only reason I say that, I still don't think we get one of the top seasons. I think we get 3rd. I'll give it to the Chiefs or Bengals. Mm-hmm. But I can see anywhere. I think the ceiling, like my fault, the basement for this team is 11. The ceiling is 13. That's where I'll go.
So we'll put a bow on this Tennessee Titans preview. Man, tell them where they can find you on social media and any upcoming projects. What you got going on?
You can find me covering the Richmond Kickers at River City 93 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's the local team. So if you've never been to a Richmond Kickers game, I invite you to come out and enjoy it. It's one of the true gems of the city. It's a great atmosphere. It's great fun. Chris could tell you he's came out to games. Yes. It's all fun. So we cover the team. You can find us on there. Weekly podcast drop on Mondays. And And then that's about it, man. Like we're just, getting ready for the season. Actually, a big game coming up on Saturday. Coming up, we play against Greenville on the road. First place is on the line, so whoever wins that takes sole possession of first place. It's kind of like a storyline building. Can Greenville get it back, or can Richmond increase their lead to 5? It's going to be really big to see, man.
Yeah, like you said, yeah, like if you're in the Richmond metropolitan area and surrounding counties, definitely come out to a Kickers game. Yeah, like you said, it is a gym in the city. Always a great atmosphere out there. Always a great time to go out there. Like you said, Saturday is definitely a big game for them. And yeah, man. So yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
that's it, man.
indeed. So
And once
yeah,
again,
man.
man, I wish you the best this season. I appreciate you a bunch for doing the show because you've been very consistent with this, man. And we had those moments where we're like, I don't feel like doing the show this week, but you've been a great addition to doing this, man. And I appreciate your show so much.
Yeah, man. Yeah, most definitely, man. Definitely, appreciate the opportunity. And like I know we talk about the Tennessee Titans, but when we come to the Richmond Kickers thing, hey, man, it's like, hey, I enjoy the opportunity. I really have, last year I was a fan of it. Now just covering it, I really have fallen in love with this team. Like it's to a point like just everything about it encompasses it all, and like just being able to cover it. It is definitely a privilege I do not take for granted. I'm always thankful for the opportunity that was, thrust upon me. So I always love the fact that I can, go out there and do my thing and, at least do my part as far as, covering the local team. But yeah, man.
Right, man. So
Yeah.
all the best, man.
Yes, sir.
I'll holler at you later, man.
Yes, sir. So we're wrapping up the Tennessee Titans preview. So tomorrow night we'll have our live AFC and NFC West, not West, but AFC NFC South preview. We'll have that tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So definitely keep us locked. And this has wrapped up the Tennessee Titans preview. We'll catch you guys tomorrow night on a special edition of Couch Coach Live as we preview the AFC and the NFC South. And we're out.